Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Christine.
And today we are running back a topic that we did in regards to the African American versus the South Sudanese experience. We got a lot of great feedback on the episode. So big shout out to everyone who tuned in and watched. And thank you so much for all of the critique or feedback or just sharing your experience. I think one major thing that people said is that we needed a more expanded African American perspective. And so I think y'all will be pleased with our panel today because we added a little bit more of the African American diaspora. So we have a big panel, so we're not going to do a huge intro. So let's go ahead and introduce the panel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vida, and I am African. I'm South Sudanese.
Hi, everyone. I'm Calvin Ford, and I'm Black American, straight from Dallas, Texas.
Your big homie Chris, Jersey, St. Croix, Virgin Islands.
All right, man. It's Chris Allen. Had to bring the light skin enlightenment to the panel. I'm here. So.
Where are you from, Chris?
Oh, I'm from Dallas, baby.
No, where are you really from? Like, where? Because I know you mixed.
Yeah, I'm half black, half Bolivian, if y'all didn't know.
Okay.
Oh,
So does that mean he's African? Is he African American?
You got that one.
No, I'm
drum
African
roll.
American. I grew up in North Dallas. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's say that.
We'll talk about it. Go ahead, Willie.
Willie Locuro, South Sudanese.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was good, y'all. It's Edward Mutry. I'm African. I'm really just South Sudanese. You dig?
Love
Period.
it. Love
Edward's outfit. I really have to address this. Can you? There you go. One time for the ones. No, we can't. It's not on the camera. There you go. There you go.
Yes.
Edward, what inspires, because I feel like your fashion is so different. And every episode, I just got to figure out what
Give
your
him his
fashion
flowers.
inspo is.
You give me my head.
And you're so different. He'll come with the old school headphones from the CD players and a camcorder. So it's just
Things were a lot more different, more real, more in depth back then. And so the color was great. I love the 80s and the 90s a lot. So that's where I get my influence from.
Yeah. That's why we call you the South Sudanese Fresh Prince.
Come on.
Yeah, the Fresh Prince of South Sudan.
I feel like you resonate a lot with the 90s era.
Mhm.
So,
Were you even born then?
I was born like nine. I was born
You
what?
didn't have to come for Edward like that.
No, I was just wondering.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I'm a baby here. I was born in 99. So
Oh,
Love it.
you're not, nah.
Well,
It don't count.
You're still
But it's okay.
99.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
That's crazy.
Emmanuel's on the mic, guys.
Yes. Oh yes. Don't
He
forget.
just said, okay, auntie.
Let's not forget to introduce Emmanuel because he's not going to be on camera, but he's on
For
the
now.
mic.
For now. He's going to pop on camera in a
The
second.
voiceless man in action.
So let me just break down. This
you look like.
episode is going to be a 2-part episode, but we have a full studio, not just panel. So people are going to be switching in and out as we go. And when they come on camera, they'll introduce themselves and their names just so you're familiar with who they are. But just it can get a little rowdy here. So I just want to let people know and preface it.
Yes. And so we do have a virtual guest as well. His name is Zach, and we're going to let you introduce yourself. Go ahead and say hi, Zach.
What's up, y'all? Hey, I'm Zach. I'm here representing Team Blackity Black Black Black.
Yeah.
Straight from the Jim Crow South. So don't really know where I came from, but I'm gonna hold it down for the Black Americans.
We love that.
I love
I can
that.
dig it.
I'm so excited. Let's start off the topic by first addressing the initial conversation that we had, the first episode that we had on this topic. I think a big point of contention was me and Christine saying that we were African American. So the term African American is supposed to identify those who are Black and live in America that are descendants of slaves, but can't necessarily pinpoint exactly where they come from. We are technically not African American if we go by that definition. And so I just wanted to say, I stand corrected because that's an official term.
People
so
were
I
going
didn't
back
know
and
that.
forth,
I didn't know
though.
that. I didn't know that.
People were going back and forth because some African Americans were saying they don't even want to be addressed as African American. They just want to be addressed as Black American. So I think that's something that we can delve into with the panel.
That was very interesting.
How do you want to be identified?
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. That's what I want to know and then there was Native Americans in there.
Oh yeah, they said that they're not African.
Blackfoot.
Yeah, they're indigenous.
Yeah,
civilian.
it was wild.
I just wanted to self-correct if I'm wrong, because I know people were going back and forth. But if it's based off that definition, then yeah, we're not African American. We are South Sudanese American because we know exactly where our descendants come from, and you know our home. We know our homeland and our culture, and like that culture is our culture is South Sudanese, and African American people have their own culture, and so we can't necessarily identify. But I think we were talking about the technicality of us being African Americans. African American, the term is broad. Like if I have to check a box, there's Caucasian, Hispanic, and then Black or African American. I'm Black and African American. So that's where I was coming from with that. So you guys can jump in and like.
That's where I was too. Like if you just look at it black and white, I'm African and obviously I'm an American citizen.
We don't have the option of South Sudanese.
Yeah,
American.
but then when you really like looked at the comments and stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I know exactly where I'm from, so I should say that I'm South Sudanese American.
Yes. So how do you guys feel about that in itself? I guess we can start there.
I think it should be all one category because I feel like there's too many sub categories in like African American or Black American. Like you're not gonna identify yourself as Sudanese African American or Ethiopian or an Ethiopian African American. I think it should be all one because in the eyes of a lot of people, they don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were to if they see a man, well, they kind of know he's African, but but like if you saw like
Edward people on the panel.
Certain people like that, you wouldn't know if he's from Sudan, Nigeria, wherever. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. So I think it should be like
I saw somebody
narrated down to one or closer to. There should be less. I
saw somebody said that like there's a difference between race and nationality and ethnicity.
Yeah.
So like so if let's start off with race. Like we're all black, right? But like some people don't like us identifying as Black. Did you guys see that?
We talked about that. We're like, are we allowed to say that we're Black?
And some people are like, no, you're not Black.
Well, were y'all considered Black and Sudanese?
No, because everybody there.
So it's more of an American thing, right?
I mean,
it's definitely American.
The word Sudan.
So that's why we hold on to that term Black because we wasn't African American. That was only 40 years ago. So it was colored and Negro and Black.
Yeah. Like so, what would be our race then? Like.
I would say it's kind of like a double dip. You're Black with your race and your ethnicity, you're Black as well. Because they outside the world, no one was called Black before that until you come to America, right?
Yeah. Race is actually a social construct. So it was created for the purpose of putting a class that was inferior, and that was Black people. Like and if you were Black, if you look like this, you're inferior, and if you're white, you're superior. So I think all of these questions we're having about, what about this? What about this? It's kind of just showing how flawed this made up thing is because it was made up for the purpose of oppressing Black people, enslaved Africans. Because if they're inferior, if we're inferior, you know, if they say this is science and y'all are inferior, that means that they have the right to oppress us and they have the right to deny us certain things and say that we're not civilized when we actually have our own personhood. So I think all these questions are super important, and it points out how flawed this made-up system is, but not to say that it doesn't have real implications in society, because in reality, when you are Black, you are going to have certain things that you're going to experience because you have been categorized as, Black. So,
and I'm just pretty much all about checking boxes when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, when I look at my skin, I look Black. I am Black. I move Black. I'm around Black people. And when I'm with my white counterparts, they see me as a different person as them. So at the end of the day, I'm just Black. I'm a Black man. Because like when I'm with my family, we're all West Indian. We Caribbean. So it go either way. I mean, we're still Black, but we're West Caribbean. We're from the islands. But at the end of the day, when someone look at me, they see a tall Black man. They don't know I'm from the islands. They don't know I'm from Africa. But at the same time, African American Black is just what box am I checking to get what I need to get done.
Right. And you guys have something similar to African Americans as far as like the slave trade goes, so that's something different between the different black diaspora groups.
And then there's so much about that too, because like I got my uncle telling me like, oh, we was never a slave, we fought off Christopher Columbus and all this other stuff. So it's like, you just never know.
This whole conversation is such a nuanced conversation, right? When you think about if all of us walk in a room, everybody gonna look at us the exact same, right? It's like, oh, they all Black,
yeah,
right? But I think when you look at everything more from a historical context, and you look at everything from culture perspectives, that's kind of where the differences come in, right? Where you look at, if you go deep down my lineage, right? So I joked about it earlier about being from Jim Crow South and things of that sort. Right, I'm the grandson of slaves and things of that sort, right? And there was a different journey that we took to being here. However, like I can't look at that any kind of way and say like that makes me lesser than in the black spectrum, in the black space. It's just my family, my people took a different journey. And then if you look at the root of all this is just, it's all, someone mentioned about it all being a social construct, but who made the social construct? If we want to be honest about it and look at how everything derived from Eurocentrism. And I heard the last pod where you guys were talking about how in Africa, slavery wasn't the hot topic, but colonization is a real thing. If you look at how resources and minerals and things of that sort of how they have been just basically stolen from several countries within Africa. If you look at how many of the countries have been redistricted and realigned, not to go along with the different cultures that take place in some of these countries. All this comes to Eurocentrism, to where ultimately it's just trying to divide us, right? Because the more Black people you got united and looking and thinking the same way, that's kind of problematic for the world and this Western world that we live in,
Sure. Yeah. And I think so you brought up something that we did talk about in the last episode, which was, I think I said it, where I said there's a lot of diaspora wars as far as like the how like who was oppressed more, and we kind of like compare our oppression to each other. And I said something along the lines of like colonialism was slavery. And I'm gonna, probably take it back a little bit. It may not say that colonialism is slavery, but I think colonialism mirrors slavery as far as like both sides were exploited for the resources, for the people, for slave labor. Yeah, controlled. And none of like the natural people of that, like African Americans came through chattel slavery and then they built up America. In Africa, they stole our resources, used us to exploit our resources, and Africans did not benefit from that.
Still doing this to this day.
And so, and it mirrors each other. And I think sometimes the issue is like you said it, we don't understand each other's struggles. So, and as opposed to like saying like, hey, we've been through the same thing in a different way, we say like, I've been through more. So, like we other each other. We try to like say like, listen, I've been through this. Africans say like, if I came to America and I can be successful, how come you as an African American can't be successful? And then African Americans tell us like, y'all ain't been through nothing. Like we've been through this, So it's like they always
say it's because of them that we're allowed to be here, because they fought for us to be allowed to migrate over here. Yes. Exactly. So they feel like it's a slap in the face because they were advocating for us to be able to come over here so that we can help them in their plight of, and I'll let Calvin speak to that.
We was actually fighting for that for us, like looking for a teammate, because the immigrations before they let like the Irish, the Italians, and all them. So in the early 1900s, Italians wasn't considered as white, before World War I. So once they teamed up, we was looking like, well, dang, let's get our brothers from the Caribbean and Africa over here so we could team up. And then the switch up happened. It was like, oh man, what's going on?
And I think in the 1920s or 30s, they brought Asians to build their train tracks and all of that, but they were not letting in Black people at all. I think during the civil rights is when they fought to let to be able to have immigration from Africa.
Yes, sir.
So that's true.
Yeah.
Also, I've been reading this book. It's called Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, and there's actually a movie out. It's called Origin, and it's based off the book. And Isabel Wilkerson, she has a book, and she's talking about how in America, it's not just racism. There's like a whole caste system. So whenever you think, like, because a lot of situations, people are like, oh, that's racism, and racism kind of gets thrown around. But she's actually like, no, this is an actual caste system where, not saying that we don't have successful people that aren't Black, but like there's a whole caste of people that are relegated to being on the bottom. And I think that's really interesting that in the book, how she mentions that. Also how whenever white people came here, like Italians, Irish people, those people were not considered white. But when they came to America, they were able to kind of like benefit from being perceived as white. So how they took on being white because they took on the benefits that came a part of being a part of the caste system of being white. And then how we come here as Africans, and it's probably like, we don't want to be associated with, you know what I mean? Like, I could understand it's really sad and it's not liberative at all, but I could understand seeing how Black people are treated. And you're like, I don't want to be treated like that, and trying to distance yourself instead of saying this caste shouldn't exist at all and fighting to, you know, make sure that it doesn't exist. So
do you think like that's why there's kind of like the tension between I'll say Black people because I consider myself Black. There's this thing where it's like we're fighting in the hierarchy to be above each other.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like,
instead of saying,
it's like,
oh, let's
you're
get rid of the
African American,
hierarchy.
you'll be like, we've talked about this before, like, oh, you're lower than me, or I'm not African, like, you know, it's like kind of like trying to like put yourself above in the hierarchy
rather than trying to dismantle the entire hierarchy.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's always programmed. I mean, even in slavery, I mean, you in house, you outside, so it's always fighting about each other. I mean, I think you make a good point. You come from Africa, so you know who you're from, you know who your tribe is, and then I'm out here like, yeah, I know I got family from St. Croix, but like I've been raised in Jersey, and I see other people around me. You know, they just live in the same projects, you know, passed down, same, you know, say Section 8 home that their mom lived in, they now own it. So they don't know anything different, and they still getting the same abuse. So it's like they don't got nothing to trace back to. So when they look at that, it's just like, yeah, we just Black, and they treat us all the same way. So then if y'all come here and y'all is like, well, we ain't really Black, we African, this and the third, that don't make us feel good, and that doesn't bring community at all either. Just keep on fighting within our own people.
Do you think that's why some people are like, I feel like it's kind of like the same thing. I'm not African, I'm Black, or I'm not African, I'm Native American. Like I've seen there's Black people who identify as Native American. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if you guys can speak on that.
Before we do though, we are live on TikTok, and we just had a comment from Monica McCullough, who said, we've all seen each other through a white colonial lens. It was taught that way, which I think is a really important comment as far as like the whole Diaspora Wars. So I'll let you jump back in, but I just wanted to like, we have people joined in on the conversation. So
it was bred, you know, you a slave, you a house nigga, you a light skins in the house, dark skins outside picking the cotton, you know.
Divide and conquer is a real concept, and it works. And it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works.
It's working.
Still do it.
Yes, it is working. I'm sorry, Willie. Go ahead and
I just like I want the African Americans on the panel to address, because I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, Black people. It's the same thing. My uncle don't say he's African American. He don't check. He said he puts other. And he writes Caribbean.
But I think what Willie's saying is that
that's no me. I know a lot of people that do that.
I think that was why I was confused last episode too, because whenever you check what you are, it's like African American, Black, whatever. So in my mind, all these years, I'm just like, okay,
should we do what Chris's uncle does and say other and say South Sudanese then?
Well, they should add just more sub ethnicities. Okay. So just like for me, I'm into the whole reparation thing. How are you going to account for all African Americans if you just got that one box?
Exactly, that's
and
true.
You got Africans and Caribbeans checking.
Yeah, and I definitely we want to get into that because I think that's what the issue was. That's where it lied when people were like, "You guys are not African American," because when the term is so broad, people who are not descendants of slaves can take advantage of programs or initiatives that were necessarily not meant for them. But what I will say is like, but that's not our fault as like Africans. That's how the system was created. And like, you know,
I think we're all just like worrying about the wrong things. Cause like, it's just like the Super Bowl and like you got all these big celebrities, everybody's following certain things that's happening. That's not like, that's the, you know, distract you with, you know, what's really happening in the world. So we got all of us fighting about what boxes we check in versus the fact that, when white people look at us, they all look at us at the same. So why are we not coming together like the Irish or the Asians?
They look at us as the same
until they hear you.
However, they don't. We talked about this. They don't look at Africans and Black Americans the same, right? We talked about that. The lens is different when it comes to us. So when they create
any immigrant group,
immigrant group. So then when you create programs and then you put Africans and African Americans all within the same like box, then there can be some hierarchies that, you know, exist, because then now you have South Sudanese and Nigerians and Kenyans now taking advantage of these programs and scholarships that were initially we are that were meant for we are taking advantage
I made a point with the scholarships. Like I went to Prairie View, right? And you have a lot of Africans on minority scholarships, which is crazy. You know, you had an all-black university, and they getting a minority scholarship. You know, like the engineering majors. Y'all killing that.
That's the only careers we're allowed to be. That's the big three: engineer, doctor.
But it's just you get all this free money. Then you got people who, like my family, you know, come middle class.
I would love an engineering scholarship if I had one.
Man, you know what I'm saying? So
can I speak on like what people don't understand too? Is that like not all Africans that come here come the same way. People,
right.
Like the people that come from Nigeria don't come the same way the way the people from Somalia come, or the people from South Sudan come. Like a lot of our South Sudanese brothers have to go through Egypt, and we come here as refugees. We don't come here like through education scholarships. We don't come and like take advantage of those benefits that are meant for African Americans as people from Nigeria might, or people from Ghana might. You know, we are victims of war, so we come here refugees, we come here as refugees. Some of us didn't go to school. Some of us are street niggas. and so like just because
we get funneled in the same prison industrial complex.
We put in the same category as Africans coming to take advantage of the education system over here and scholarships, but it's not the same in every country. Like Somalians don't come here and take over the scholarships, because Somalia is a war-torn country, and when they come here, they haven't had education early on. South Sudanese, same way. We don't have schools in South Sudan that are established when we get that education. Yeah. Even and I was bringing up Egypt, the ones that went to Egypt, they learned the Arabic. They learned the Arabic system. So when they come here, they have to learn a whole fucking different language. And write backwards, because they write the other way, you know. And and it's not easy. So I think a lot of African Americans assume just Africans are coming to take advantage, but we don't come the same way.
I think an important comment, and Calvin's a teacher. You teach history, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Vida is also a teacher. I think we don't know each other's history, because I saw that a lot in the comments.
We don't.
And that's why African Americans say that we don't know what their plight is, what they've had to go through in this country for us to be able to reap the benefits that we do when we come over here. And then Africans are like, you're thinking that we're coming thinking we're better, but we're coming from, because sometimes the insults that I see online is like, oh, Africa is so desolate, you don't have anything. We don't know each other's history, so they don't know how we suffered at the hands of colonialism back home. We have war, and they're stealing our resources, and like this whole thing that's going on. So if we can talk about
if we can learn each other's history and know each other, we'll understand that we're actually more alike.
We have the
than
same
we are
struggle.
Not to get off subject or whatever, but I remember when Black Panther came out, everybody wanted to know if they were African, but I'm keeping it real. I was like, yo, I wanted to know my ancestry. I was like, yo, where am I from, man? I might be related to Emmanuel, low key. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think we need that type of impact, or that type of
unifying,
vision. Yeah, because you're because when you
unity,
when Black Panther came out, not to harp on that movie, but
it
was like a high grossing movie, because I feel like we all
united.
Black people were like, yo, we got to check this out right now.
Yeah, something to be proud of.
Exactly.
You know?
And so with that movie, it was impactful because, like I said, you had everybody that was Black trying to, figure out where they're really coming from, what's really going on, because they saw that figure. Yeah. So I think we do need that type of positive representation
absolutely,
of what a Black person is, whether they're African, from the Caribbean, blah, 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 so on and so forth.
And I think there's been a lot of improvement. I'll say just for me, going to school, and I had of course I always gravitated towards other Black people regardless of where they came from. But I remember like experiencing some ignorance from my African American friends, and like I didn't feel like all the time comfortable wearing my jalabi around the apartment. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't always feel comfortable.
Tell the African American audience what is a jalabia?
So a jalabia is a free flowing nightgown.
It's like a muumuu, yeah, like a long muumuu.
Yeah, it's a long muumuu. Like it's like different cultures have variations of it.
A nightgown.
That's what we just do.
Like I didn't feel like I loved my African American friends. I felt comfortable. I still do. Like I felt comfortable around them in a way I don't feel around white people. But like some things I would just hear ignorant things and I'm like, man, I wish I could really be myself around you guys. But like I couldn't wear my jalabi around the park like without a comment. Like and so but now I feel like because of the way culture is going, Afro beats, even food, I feel like a lot of people just in general are more open-minded around cultures, and I feel like it's a lot more unifying. So I would say there has been growth.
I just feel like we're ignorant just based off like our education in terms of what is being brought to us, like African culture and African American culture. Because I mean, like I grew up, we bomb each other like all day long. It's out of love most of the time, especially if we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and we never seen it, so it's just funny to us. So I don't think it's
Zach, please jump in there.
And that's the truth. So like we can sit here and argue over what tastes better, jollof rice or fried chicken or all these different things. But the truth is if you go back to the root of it, it's not necessarily even about my ancestor's slave story or your ancestor's war-torn story. It's not about that. A lot of times it's about what caused this unrest. It goes back to the same point of Eurocentrism that has separated us, taken the power away from us to empower others. You can even see it if you look at American politics today. There's people that are going out there wearing MAGA hats all around town saying, I believe in Donald Trump and his gold sneakers, and he is going to save me, and he is going to take me out of poverty, and he is my savior. When Donald Trump could care less about them as a billionaire, right? As somebody who has profited off of capitalism and the current structure in which the world works, he doesn't give a damn about them folks that's living in a trailer park, even though that person in the trailer park might have a lot more in common with someone like me who comes from the ancestors of slaves, who have people who have had to work blue collar jobs, people who've had to show up to work every day and provide and put a meal on the kitchen table. Similar stories. However, the world in which we live in, they don't want us to understand that, because it goes back to the economics of the situation, right? So Eurocentrism, it divided Africa as a whole, right?
Yes.
Then it took our resources, physical resources, and then the most important resource that they took away was people. If you look at now, I think y'all said on the last episode talking about how powerful the blue passport was, right? Of being an American and all that stuff, right? Like a lot of that is the only reason why that blue passport is worth a damn is just because of Black people, like all of us in this room, and I'm considering all of us Black, right?
Right.
Of people that built America and have became doctors, lawyers, attorneys, engineers, etc. And we've been able to do that. But until we get to a point to where we're like not nitpicking over what happened over the last 400 or 500 years in our cultures, and we start understanding what Black culture as a whole is, we're going to forever be in this spot.
I have a question for you, Zach, and all the African Americans on the panel as well. One, there's two questions. So one, what would you guys consider African American culture? Because I feel like that's a thing that people always talk about, is like
the black nod.
Black people don't have no culture. African American people don't have no culture. Black Americans have no culture. But you guys do have a culture.
It's American culture.
Yes.
So what is that? What is that? What does that look like?
And people, it's everywhere. Black culture is the most stolen culture in the world.
Facts.
You can see it. You can see it across the board. You can see Kim Kardashian got a whole brand built around Black culture. Let's be honest. If you go on Twitter, the only reason why Twitter is a successful platform, or Instagram, or any of these social media
Black
platforms,
Twitter.
they're all
Black,
Exactly. They're all driven by Black culture.
So
Black
what
culture
is that? What is that? Like, what does that look like?
It's
I'm
American
just
pop
curious.
culture. Let's look at Burna Boy, for example. When is there any
Ooh,
time?
I'm gonna shake the table.
When is there any other time in Africa to wear Timberlands?
That's New
Speak
York.
on it, because that's been a
East
big
side.
topic online.
Yes.
He's dressed like he's from where?
East side, New York.
Exactly.
And the chains. Let's talk about how African artists are now
And
doing the
his
big
accent,
chains.
first off, his African accent ain't even real.
Hey, I'm just saying.
That boy has he had a British accent. I'm sorry, I'm telling you. Man, look, we talk about culture. He a flip flopper. Let me tell you.
And it's funny about Burna Boy. And hey, I love Burna Boy's music. I've been to a lot of concerts. Burna Boy, hey, I love him. But the truth is, Burna Boy has slandered Black culture. But at the same time, you are mixing all your songs over R&B
Black American
beats.
music. Yep.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you that Black culture is still a very prevalent thing. Black culture is not just the story of what Black culture is in the South, because that looks totally different in you said East Harlem or New York. That's a total different Black experience. But all of that is still in itself Blackness.
Oh,
So look
I
at it
love
like
that.
look at
I've
it
seen
like
a
tribes,
I've seen a video of like
East Coast and
I've seen a
everything.
video of like Vietnamese battle rapping.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what they were
The
saying, but
North
I'm
Koreans?
like, yeah, like they
They be doing
they're
pop
like-
locking
Excuse
and
me.
yeah, exactly.
breakdance.
Yeah,
That's
like,
Black
exactly.
too.
Yeah, like
That's
like
another community that want to be us.
Yeah.
But Calvin, you just made a powerful point about like Black culture kind of being like tribes, like depending
Yeah,
on
so-
where you are.
The
from,
South.
where
So you
you're
got the
from.
South.
Uh-huh.
Everybody know, Southern hospitality.
Yes.
New York, grimy,
Mhm.
rude.
I don't know about
very.
real. This real.
Man,
No. Real rude.
anybody? I don't trust nobody.
Real rude. No good morning. No how are you?
West Coast, they're more laid back because they got Southern roots. Because most of my family, they're in Oakland in the Bay Area during the World War II era.
I love
People do the mass migration. You got your family from the South that moved to the get the World War II jobs and stuff like that.
You feel like it's the same
Then
way
the
with
Midwest.
Chicago?
Midwest. too.
Chicago, yeah, they got Southern roots, Mississippi,
Chicago.
Memphis, all that area. But Chicago is,
what?
I love my Chicago people, man.
I love how you broke that down because and how you said it's almost like tribes, like clans, like depending on where you're from, there's a different form of like Black culture because
And we see
And even
it, Sarah.
slang.
We say what is the but you see it because,
You
like
do
you
see
said,
it.
different areas, it's different. Like the Cajuns in New Orleans and stuff, and then you go to
Yes,
like
the Creek,
Georgia, Texas, like
Yes.
so it is different.
And I always knew that African Americans, Black Americans had a culture, but I've never heard it really. I never heard it
Never been a name on
verbalized.
it.
We've assimilated
there was
into
no-
the culture as kids who came from
Yes.
Africa. I feel like growing up with people that were African Americans, I felt like we gravitated more towards that culture. So it's like, I wanted to take it to, because we all went to school together. I went to school with Calvin and Janet and Holly. Holly, you got to get on the panel. Chris, you got to switch out for Holly, got to get on, because we all went to high school together. And this dynamic is really important because.
And that's her man. She's switching out with her man. Are we allowed to say that? Y'all out public, right?
No, you just put them out there. So how you gonna say it and then
now
ask?
they are.
Two together now.
She said
now
it
they
first
are.
and asked later. Right. We just did another switch and we got Holly on the panel. Holly, please introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name's Holly from Dallas.
And Janet.
Oh yeah. So my name's Janet Akorkin. I am Ugandan, but I was born in Jersey but raised in Dallas.
And Lily, we have Lily back again. Please introduce yourself again, sis.
Hi, my name is Lily. I am a college student. I am South Sudanese, and I am from South Dakota, but moved to Texas in 2021.
Let's get the backstory. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
Okay, because Vida was talking about, like, as Africans, we gravitated naturally towards all the African American people because
They black, I'm black.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, this is my people. Cool. It's just a different variety, but we're all black, So in school, it was freshman year, we all came.
Hold on. Can I say something? Real
Yes,
quick?
please.
Because this is the dynamic. At that time in 2008, DIG
You do
was,
not have to date us. I don't gotta say that.
You all right. No, well, at that time, they bust a lot of kids from Dallas just all over. You got kids from Oak Cliff. You got kids from Pleasant Grove, South Dallas, West Dallas. They all bust us to Conrad.
Just in North Dallas.
It was a new
North
school.
Dallas. So
yeah.
me growing up on the southern sector of Dallas and Oak Cliff, we never went past the Trinity for nothing. When I say Trinity, the Trinity River, going past downtown.
If you're
We
not
thought
from
nothing
Dallas.
but white folks up there on the north side. So when we got to Conrad and saw this melting pot of, we had over 70 different languages spoken at our school. So that was a culture shock for me because coming from elementary school, I went to all black elementary school, not one other race in sight. Till I got to middle school, which was 30% Hispanics, 7% black. But going to high school, it was just like a culture shock. Like, dang, cool. Dang, they dark as me, but they don't look like, they don't sound like me or whatnot. So it was just different. But okay, you can go ahead and finish.
No, that's a perfect.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going. So yeah, we all went to school together, and like it was a shock for me and Janet because obviously we dealt with bullying like before, but in high school it was just weird for it to come from people that look like us.
Yeah. I think for me it was like a little bit different because I was born here in America, and I feel like I was on both sides of the spectrum because my family, it's only like my mom and my siblings here. So we don't have a huge community of, like, I didn't grow up in African culture outside of the culture that I had with South Sudanese. So growing up, I was just like, I'm black, right?
Yeah.
That's what I identified. I watched the music videos, everything.
The
My
whole
friends are black.
culture. Yeah.
My best friends are black. So I just thought that until we got to middle school and high school, and I was like, why are you firing me up and we look the same? Like, what are you talking about? We're the same complexion. So I just didn't think that there was
a difference.
And then also that's not how we grew up. So like I wasn't firing my brother up because he was a little darker than me, or you know, I wasn't firing up my sister. Like that just wasn't what we
just all
we did in the household. It's like we all look the same.
Man, my pops been firing me up since I was born.
We didn't know that until I got to school, and then I realized like, oh, okay, this is how y'all move.
So enter Calvin, like us meeting, because Holly's like a year older than us, like a different class, but like in school. I remember freshman year, I hated Calvin the first semester. I was like, bro, I was like, I hate Calvin. because Calvin was one of the funniest people. So when he roasted on you, it was actually funny. So it was just like, when I had a class with him, I was like, here we go.
Calvin, but what were some of the things that you said?
No.
Hold on.
Sarah, don't trigger me now.
I remember in 10th grade, Mr. Greger class, Christine and Janet brought to school lunch. I used to bring gumbo and stuff home.
Was it the nachos?
No, y'all had something like, please
not he
don't
remembers.
misquote me.
You brought bulldog combo to the
No, why would you do that? But it was some
do that.
It was some African food. I don't, please don't.
Was it injera?
Was it asida?
I don't know.
Was it green?
Bamboo? I mean, not bamboo. Not bamboo.
Bamia? Maybe okra.
Something like that.
What did it look like? Was it white?
It looked grayish and flat looking. I don't know.
Chapati.
We bought chapati.
I fired that plate up for about 20 minutes.
It was probably
chapati is not great.
It smelled, all the smell was like different.
Calvin is a lot more reserved now, but back then, and Calvin was like, it was like him and it was like one other person, but they were the funniest. Like Calvin was our class clown in school.
He was.
So it was just like when Calvin says something, like, but you know what? I want to just give you your flowers because it really taught me tough skin. And we learned that the only way that we're gonna be friends is if I fire your ass up
back
too.
up. So
after that,
and when you fired me back up, what did I do? I chilled.
We became friends. We became the best of friends.
Yeah.
And that's why I say in
learned.
terms of like adapting, you know, and like understanding how we can merge both cultures because like I said, that's not how we grew up. But it was like, if we gonna survive 4 years, you're not gonna keep talking about me. I'm gonna find something to talk to you.
It was one day I was like, I had it.
Like, we figured it out.
Christine cussed me out so bad.
I never knew this.
And you know, another thing that was bad is because we was all dark skin. So I was like, Calvin, you like half a shade lighter than me, bro.
So
like,
hey, but that half.
So you see.
That half.
Imagine being in the classroom with him. Not you, Calvin.
Imagine Calvin.
But you gotta remember though.
Not you roasting me 10 years after high school. I thought I escaped this.
We got. I'm dark skinned, obviously, but I got the African booty scratcher jokes. I got the.
He said, but that.
I've been told I look like a off TV and Patrick Grapes. Like I look like under the bed. I mean, I done heard it all.
You got the Mr. You got the Mr. Popo?
Huh?
The Mr. Popo?
What's that? Oh yeah. Dragon Ball Z with the red.
God.
Yeah, I done got it. I'm telling you, I done heard it all.
And we never thought about it from that perspective. Too.
Yeah. So I was just like, well, shoot, they gonna be hanging around. Cause my thing is, if you hanging with me, we all score.
Right.
I don't like initiate.
Yeah.
much.
Calvin said it.
We became professionals.
Calvin said, if I get roasted for being dark skinned, you about to get roasted for being dark skinned.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, finally,
But
someone
by the time they got to
darker.
college, nobody probably bullied y'all or what?
Oh no, nobody did that to us after that.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Y'all really got us together. By the time I graduated, I was waiting. I was like, oh, you want to?
Got you on alert.
Yeah. Okay.
Smart with me. Sounds like from the panel from Janet and Christine, who experienced you, and Holly, you went to the same school as them.
Yes.
So it seems like it came from a good, not a bad place, not a negative
No,
place. You were coming
none of
from, you were coming
because
from.
we became friends after I feel like it was like, okay, when you gonna say something,
in a sense.
and then when you finally say something, it's like, all right, bro, you cool. And after that, I love Calvin. Like it was a total 180, So
yes. So. And I love that. I love that you guys were able to become friends, and it was like you realize the different cultures between Black Americans and African Americans, and I don't know if Black Americans even the right term, or is it African?
And it's funny because he never said nothing after we said something. It never came back.
I just want to see if you're gonna hit back.
So y'all remember I came to Dallas, and I had a culture shock too. I was used to I grew up around white people, and then I came to our school, and it was nothing but Hispanics, Africans, and Blacks. I was like, oh, where the white people at? I'm looking around.
And you used to get bullied for that too.
I did. I was bullied. I was definitely bullied. I didn't feel the love. Really? So none, not at all. But yeah, no, I was definitely bullied. It kind of stopped for the most part. I started making friends and stuff when I joined sports.
Is it the white girl talk?
Yeah, the white girl.
That's mainly it. It was like people calling me a white girl, Oreo, and I was like, "What's an Oreo?"
Oh yeah.
But it's just like stuff like that. You're not black. Like Black people saying I'm not black.
Yeah. Do you feel like they're policing your blackness?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then also not just that, but like trying me. You know what I mean? Like seeing.
You was a girl with the good hair.
Yeah, like I mean, just like is Holly gonna basically like fight me. Yeah. Is she gonna fight me? Is she gonna step or whatever it is, And so like there's, back in the day, I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but there was situations to where like, I learned that people were, oh yeah, I was gonna jump you. I said, what?
Oh, once y'all became friends. Like once y'all became cool.
Friends.
Cool,
but yeah. And I was like, excuse you?
Wait, and why? Because
she was just different.
Just because, like when I say like I've always been super nice, super friendly to everybody. Like everybody throughout my whole entire life. Yeah. And so it was just literally like that was just my experience coming to Dallas, being around Black people, it was just really negative, honestly. And then until I started making more friends, joining sports and things like that. And then it was like, oh, okay, Holly, she's cool. Like a lot of people thought I was stuck up, but I never, I mean, y'all can tell me you're not. But
well, just seeing you walk in the hallway, you don't speak to nobody.
Yeah, I just walk.
You just went straight to class. So, you're not sitting here talking.
I have a question for Holly. And I feel like that's a thing in the Black community of like what type of Black you're allowed to be. Like, do you feel like there's like a certain box? And I'll let you and Zach and whoever the African American people on the panel, like, if you're not like a certain type of Black, like, do you feel like you get backlash for that? And what is like that type of Black that is like
listening to 106.1 Kiss FM secretly?
Yeah.
That was me in high school.
You showing your age.
Oh, they're not a radio station no more?
If you're from Dallas.
They are. Who listens to the radio,
No, but
Calvin?
nobody listens to the radio anymore.
Come on.
But I did listen to that.
Come on, Calvin.
I do still.
Go ahead.
I still went stuff off the radio still. So.
Did anybody used to listen to 99.5 The Wolf?
One thing I'll say about Holly is Holly was one of those people that calls into the radio to win the prizes. And I've never met anyone who won so much stuff off the radio.
I still win.
Yes, and because you're the only one calling.
Holly, you are so fucking funny.
You should go again.
She's won all kinds of
that's a life hack? Like,
yes. She's went to concerts.
Radio stations give you free gas.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't do that no more.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and answer the question, y'all. I'm sorry.
What was the question again?
Basically policing Blacklist. Like, because Holly, she like what people would say talks white or, super friendly. Is that seen as like a weakness of like, oh, I'm about to beat her up, I'm about to jump her because she, like, is that like a thing? Because I've seen that.
100%.
Yeah.
I think I
definitely had to deal with when I first came into one of my neighborhoods. My sister and myself was trying to get jumped. My sister got jumped. They was trying to jump me. I ain't gonna lie. I ran because I'm not fighting 20 people. But I definitely had a lot of one-on-one fights because that's what you
ran
have
and
to
left
do.
your sister?
No, like separately. Like my sister was walking home from she got jumped.
Right.
And when I was walking home, they were trying to jump me. They had like MOB, mom over bitches, and RON, run over niggas, all that shit. So it's like you have to deal with that. And either like you're gonna fight back. So I had a lot of one-on-one fights, even when you go to the park, or you go back and you bomb them as well.
I mean, I agree with y'all. I mean, I was the same. I was in honors classes too, and I got the you sound white and all that stuff. But you know, I think a lot of that just goes down to ignorance, right? When you talk about like even why somebody calls somebody an African booty scratcher or whatever you call somebody, a lot of that is just because we just as kids are kids and they don't know any better. And I think a lot of that is just, it just goes to show you how shitty our education system is. I hate to be that guy that keeps hopping on here talking about these systematic issues.
No, that's important.
It's important.
But truthfully, like a lot of our problems go back to just the government and the world that we live in. You look at all like there's a direct prison to school to prison pipeline that exists. Yeah. And let me tell you something.
We talked about that.
These schools, they're not grabbing people from like Carrollton ISD and things like that, right? Like these schools are the prisons are getting filled by people that look like us, right? And the problem is that you know, Holly, you said how you had to join a sports team just to kind of get some of that off of you, right? Mm-hmm. That's the same stuff in prisons. You got to pick a side and join a gang just so you can have some people on your side and have people not picking against you, right? And so these education systems, until like there's real reform that actually teaches about Black culture, and then we have things like Black literature being allowed in schools. And things of that sort, all of that stuff is going to continue to go on. But as Black people, what can we do? All we can do is teach our own kids, right?
Zach, can I ask you a question? Do you think do you think a lot of us have internalized racism?
100%.
And that's why like we are like we have believed those the European superiority myth, and we use it against each other.
But here's the thing, like, can you blame us as a whole when every day I get off of work and I turn on the television set and everything is hitting me from a Eurocentric view? I go to sleep and I wake up and I go to work and I'm working in this Eurocentric construction of my job, right? Of having a corporation that is fueled by tax dollars, where these corporations pay considerably less taxes than you and I have to pay. Like, there's a whole system in which we naturally learn how to adapt and live within this system. And then what it does is it leads to internalized racism, internalized misogyny, internalized a whole bunch of stuff that we do that we don't even realize until you actually sit down and look yourself in the mirror and say, what ways can I be better? What ways can I live a life where I'm truly living Black first and I'm supporting my community?
I forgot who the African leader was, but he said that when with my right hand I was fighting colonialism, and in my left hand I could only fight colonialism with one hand, because my left hand I had to fight my African brothers who were
grabbing the bucket,
who were coming at me for the colonialists.
Yes.
And so it seems like we try to fight the colonialism, but some of the time Black people, our own people, become the biggest threat.
Yeah, they become worse than the white people because they're used.
Because they're closer to us, and they've believed it. They believe that myth about European.
That's even in Africa with our leaders selling us out.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that like happens as far as like us being immigrants. We come here and we feel like now we are superior to people who live here because of colonialism. Just like slavery was a huge part of like colorism and people like, the house and then the, I don't want to say house, and where the divide and conquer tactic has worked on both sides,
right,
for both
and
African Americans
and the thing that we have to do as people who know better, we've got to be the ones that sit there and say, like, anytime you hear something where somebody's coming at you saying like an offensive term, or coming at you talking about like light skin, dark skin, and all these different types of things, and seriously having ammunition, or you talking, you sound white, things like that. We've got to call those people out right there immediately and say, hey, my brother, you don't know what black is. Let me tell you what black is. This is what black is. This is where your people are from. Whether you know exactly which country or territory or region or whatever it is, but this is where your people are from, and this is how you got here. This is how you got here, because of these Eurocentric ways in which people didn't look at you as a person, but they looked at you as a commodity.
Zach, you said that you are a descendant of people who of slaves, and also who've been through Jim Crow. Do you feel like us as African Americans who are migrants who came here have contributed to the fight of African Americans? Do you see that in your day-to-day or in general, or just the bigger picture? Do you feel like we have came here and actually stand in solidarity with you guys? And I think you guys can all jump into that.
That is such a nuanced question, Sarah. And I swear, I see why y'all were on Good Morning Texas and all this stuff, because y'all are damn good at what y'all do. All right, that's a great question. But so there's one way you can look at it, and you can say, no, I don't feel like you guys have been true allies in that, because you guys say, oh, I'm not black, I'm Sudanese, I'm Cambodian, I'm Nigerian, things of that sort, instead of identifying as a piece of one and truly in your blackness, right? You could make that argument 10 different ways, right? But then there's also a piece of it in which you could say, yes, you guys have. Because if you look at a lot of people who have migrated over to America have came here for hopes of a better life. And so what has that led to? You guys have become teachers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, and all kinds of different things, to where you have contributed to America, but also you show up to work every day as a black person. So as a whole, no matter whether you identify as Sudanese or whatever, a white man that you work with sees you as a black person. So at the end of the day, it's a very nuanced conversation in which you can say, yes, you can be better. You can be better allies, but at the same time, whether you like it or not, you still are black, right? So a lot of all black issues are still your issues as well, whether you want to recognize it or not. Because no matter whether you're applying for a mortgage,
in terms of when you go to the work spot and just allowing, and you was talking about code switching, I think about when I go to work every single day and my past job experiences. Unfortunately, I'm usually the only, like, one of the few black people at my engineering companies, or at my last engineering company, I was the only black person on the staff, and having to deal with not code switching, because it comes down to saying that sometimes it's just easier just to go with what the European centuryism is and just hate on your own color skin. But I don't move like that, right. And that stops me from the position where I should be. Holly met one of my old boss, and the first thing he asked her was like, "Is how he is always?" Because I don't code switch. I'm not pleasing the white person. I'm just gonna be myself. Oh, wow. I know my skills. I know what I'm good at, and then I have to deal with having to deal with coworkers getting mad at me for saying things how I say, or putting them into place, but they're doing the same yelling at the other part, or I'm always the aggressive person when it just comes down to just being direct. Cause I see other white people be direct, and it could be to the point. Me and Holly was having a conversation this other day talking about sometimes you just have to do. Everybody's doing it. And I'm like, but I'm not trying to just do it. I'm not trying to just be code switching and pleasing the white person, because that's not that's just following the systematic oppression they want me to keep me in.
Yeah.
You know, I know my skill, I know my strength, and I'm trying to uplift all of us. So why should I go in these spaces and then try to diminish my light?
Yeah.
My light is light is bright.
And
I know that's right.
You're a representation of your people.
Lily, she's the youngest person in the room and on the panel, and I really want to compare our experiences because we talked about what we went through and what we think.
And Lily,
but you're 18.
you fight the fight
Yes,
for the Black diaspora.
She
in
actually
general.
is
Yeah.
doing that. So please speak to your experience. What are you seeing for your generation?
I think for myself, growing up like in the Midwest, like it was already like a small Black population out there. So and like it's a lot of Africans. So everyone just said they were Black, and it was more Africans than Black people. So the Black people never really were like, oh, you're African, you're not. I never really had that African booty scratcher experience growing up. And then when I moved to Dallas, I remember the high school we moved to was like a predominantly white school, but it had a high athletic program, so there was more Black students. So when my brother and I arrived, I'm darker complected, but my brother's more darker complected than me. So they would like call my brother midnight, all these different type of things. And I remember like I knew like my Black friends scold, but like it was more negative. It got to the point where like they would say like they would see like an African like picture in like a history class and be like, oh, that's Lillian Phillip. I see. And I was like,
That's the same.
It's the same. And then I think it was like when I decided to open up the start the Black Student Union at the school, I was like, oh, this is gonna make everyone, you know, united, da, 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 da. And then I remember getting the conversation from other Black kids. They're like, why are you doing that? You're African. Why can't you make an African student association? And I never really thought about it like that because at my old school, we had a Black Student Union, but everyone in the Black Student Union was African, really. And so I think it really made me change my mindset in a sense of like, we don't have the same fight. Even though like white people all see us the same, it's just like, it's not the same.
Culturally.
Yeah,
So
and a great point that you just made with what Zach was talking about. The reason African Americans think we're not joining the fight is because we have our own battles, and when we come here, like we see the slavery versus the rights. It's not our battle, and every African you talk to,
that's how we see it. Yeah.
Every African you talk to thinks they're gonna go back and save the village. Because I was listening to what Zach was talking about the question that you asked him about Africans not contributing to the fight, is because we don't know this fight, and we come here and like it's a new fight to us. Our parents have their own fight back home. And part of that fight back home is coming here to get what we need so we can go back home and fight that fight.
And I think to add to
go ahead,
it,
Jen, I'm
like,
sorry.
from a different perspective, because so for example, like being born here, all I know is America. Like I haven't unfortunately been back home. So for example, if there's movements and situations that are happening to Black American people, it's affecting me, and I feel like I have to stand up as well, because if I was to get stopped by the police and God forbid something happens to me, they're not going to look at me as, oh, you're African. Like we're not going to, treat you the same way. That may still happen to me. So I think my perspective is a little bit different because I try to bridge the gap because yes, I am African, but I also grew up here and I grew up in the culture. So I do feel like I have a position to stand up for what's going on here because I'm aware.
To the point where he was like, that's not our fight, but we are doing the same fight.
No, I don't say that as like I don't want to fight that fight, but I'm speaking in the perspective of people,
African.
how they view.
And let me say why it is the same fight. We pretend like it's not the same fight, but it's the exact same fight coming from different perspectives. Because like what Zach was saying the whole time is the same thing. Where she said, "Oh, I felt offended," because they have the power here in the United States. If I'm gonna talk to somebody about how to fight the system here, I'm gonna talk to an African American brother because he's been here. They've been here for hundreds of years, so they know what is a failed route to go to. So you have to secede to them. Now, if they go back to the motherland and they're like, "Oh, I got American money. How can I help in Africa? I'm not listening to you Africans because I got the money. Screw it. I'm going to do it my way." But then the African's like, no, it's not going to work that way.
And to go on to that point, too, is like when sometimes I've gone into conversations with other Africans and stuff, they'd be like, oh, Black Americans this, Black Americans that, y'all need to do this. And I just kind of look, I'd be like that colonialism, right? I kind of look at it like, okay, let's say if I come over your house. You've been in my house, right? My house dirty. Don't say nothing about it. Come to your house and I'll be like, dang, man, you need to clean up around here. Like, what you doing? You're going to look at me like, Bruh, your house was just dirty. Like, so it's like we looking like, how y'all gonna talk about us?
It's true.
And you know, y'all countries back there is crazy too.
Can I say something? Can we go coon for coon?
No.
Yeah, I said it. I peeped that the most successful versions, or quote unquote successful versions in white supremacy, are the people who assimilate so much that they don't believe that they like ascended blackness almost, as if they other their own people.
Like
and it happens with Africans and it happens with African Americans, and I peeped it from both sides because
it's internalized racism.
It is.
And with the countries that are winning in Africa, notice how most of the countries that are winning in Africa are most aligned with what white countries, and their whole government is just a shadow government for the Western states,
because it will destroy you.
That's the separation.
I'll say that's
like if you no, we
gotta push back on that.
Terry, I hear it.
I agree. No. As soon as you question like white supremacy, they make an example out of you.
Omar Gaddafi.
Yeah, they make an example out of you.
Yeah.
Like they fuck up your currency, they fuck up your economy, so that the other African like countries will see like don't ever try that. Don't ever try
what's
that.
happening in Niger right now, where they were almost got into fight with Nigeria.
Because they're fighting back against the French. You know, like and I think it was Burkina Faso or something. Like after colonialism, they were like, French, you can leave, but the French were like, all right, we'll take everything that belonged to us. They took the schools. They fucked up the currency. They fucked up the whole economy. And the other African leaders saw what happened, and they were like, okay, we're not gonna try to do that.
Same thing with Haiti. Haiti didn't finish paying until 2012, or was it 2013?
Yeah, the debt that they put on them.
Talking about the embargo?
Yeah.
But it's not just Western. It isn't just a Western thing, because you can look, there's an Eastern influence as well on Africa. When you look at investments that China has done with several, with several countries.
China owns 80%.
China's over here in America too.
China owns 80% of the cobalt mines in the Congo,
and we in debt.
Yeah, it's much bigger than just Western, but like to the people who were like slandering some like African countries on the YouTube comments or whatever, like my thing I would say to them is like, I get that, but at the same time it's like, we can't just sit here and act like Black people are advantaged in any of these situations.
Exactly.
So for us to be sitting here like, well, I'm not gonna listen to you because you riding a bike to school. Well, shit, we riding a damn scooter. We neither one of us in the car.
Thank you. It seems like it's like we're trying to talk about who colonized us the worst or the best. It's like
Victim Olympics.
It's like literally. It's like
Victim Olympics.
It drives me crazy.
We all got the same baby daddy, and we trying to pretend like he loves us better. Like it's the same.
When you talked about how African Americans said like, well, your country is messed up, and look at what happened in your country, and how Africans look at African Americans like, how come y'all can't get your stuff together when we can do this? It's like it's literally the oppression Olympics.
That looks like to me, I look at it a different lens. Like when people be like, Africans will say, I'm not saying that.
No.
But let's just say like, Black people are lazy or
speak on
it. Just be like, how? Like we built the country, we fought for immigration to get here, and then for us, like, you're getting a piece of the American dream because of us. And also the whole sentiment of, come home to Africa. That's why I used to always get into it. They're like, come back home. I'm like, but y'all fleeing. Why y'all coming over here?
We feel like we're actually going to go back home to fix our country eventually. You know, we come here to take advantage of the situation. And we look at America to us is like, y'all got all these food, like we're going to come take it. Yeah, like we're going to come take it. But we do, but you're right. We don't see, like I was talking about last time, we don't see all the shit that has happened against African Americans and how the system was made to not give him any opportunity.
But I will say this. So this was a comment that I had on Instagram with somebody who talking about immigration. Most immigrants, when they come here, they already got a leg up in regards to everybody that's been here. So we coming already in a better situation, because usually if you have to put in the applications, your father had to be smart, your grandfather, etc., have to be knowledgeable enough to put in an application to come here. So that means you're already coming in with parents who are educational, who are coming in here. And then once you come here, you're getting help from from the churches, you're getting help from the government, you're getting help already. You're getting a leg up on everybody that's been here. So a lot of times when we talk about the Black experience, or we don't know about the Black experience, is because they're putting in a position where they're putting a boot down on them where they cannot get to that position. And we are getting that leg up where now when we go into getting loans, like I think the gentleman already said, is like his uncle said, oh, I'm not putting Black American, I'm putting other. And that's actually the way to go, because I always put other, because what they're doing is that it's all stats. It puts that in the sentence. Because they're putting it like, okay, 15% of America is African American. All we got to do is put 15% of the loans to African American. So why will I put African American if I want to get a loan? I'm going to put other, so I can get that loan. If I'm Indian, if I'm whatever.
I have a question for all of y'all, the whole panel, in regards to what you're talking about, Tyrek. As far as like loans, reparations, and things that like advantage like Black people in the diaspora.
Ain't no reparations.
Reparations probably not gonna happen, but just
not for us.
But just for y'all, yeah.
Everybody.
For y'all,
yeah. For everybody.
No, it's already. But here's the thing: it's already happened historically. What are we talking about? It's already happened.
No reparation can stop that right now.
So let me ask the question to the.
So you don't think reparations are gonna ever happen?
But let's talk about it. Let's talk about it with the entire panel. The entire panel.
They felt like that about slavery ending. Like you never. It seems
did
impossible. But you keep on the fight.
It's not about impossibility.
Impossible becomes possible.
They deserve it. They built this country. How do they not deserve it?
He's not saying they don't deserve it. He's just saying
he just feel like it's never going to happen.
Well, did they think apartheid was going to end in South Africa?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, because it's their country. They're going to end. It's about a path. When you talking about it,
how old were you when apartheid ended?
Well, you gotta put my age out there, like. But no. What I'm talking about, as far as reparations wise, is because you cannot conceptualize. You cannot put reparation in a number.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, but they are. And when you think about what they're doing about California, so California is just dumb. They shouldn't have made that a law. They shouldn't have made that a real thing.
Because the lawmakers, if you actually read that law, the lawmakers that put it there knew it was not going to pass.
So here was my question, because a lot of people on the comments on TikTok were like, "Yeah, African," because we don't deserve reparations as far as it comes to America, because we are not the descendants of slaves. But also, when I think about it, it's like, so we deserve our reparations from like Egypt and the Britain Empire, but we ain't gonna get that shit either.
Yeah. The British can't afford it. You see what Britain look like right now?
That's the thing. So
but they're still rich.
So here's my question.
Like they're still living good. Let me finish a point before I let you finish.
Artifacts.
I'm gonna say like
our history in the museum.
Zach made a great point where he said that the commodity, because I used to wonder, like, because there's a reason these countries are rich. And I used to wonder to myself, and I used to wonder to myself, like, America did not participate in colonialism. Why are they so rich? Like
we're 50.
But he's right. The humans, the Africans were the commodity.
Coming from.
And but the Europeans took a lot of there's a reason why these countries are very rich. So when you say British has nothing, they have a lot. They're living good.
And I got two things. So exactly what you said. When you think about it, even if you look at the slave trade in itself, right? They took some of the brightest, strongest, they're like, oh, hey, he's a big workhorse. We're gonna take him. She looks like somebody who can have children. all these types of things.
LeBron James and Serena Williams.
Jesus Christ!
They're
facts.
It's like a draft in itself,
they
right?
took the best. That's why African Americans are like
the best.
I don't want to be.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Black African Americans are the best by any means. But when you're talking about a brain drain that happened from these communities, you can't just ignore that. But when the other point, when I believe Tariq was speaking about reparations, like, first off, when we talk about reparations, we have to define what are reparations. Like, I think oftentimes people go straight to money. That's the first thing people talk about, is like, oh, I can just pay people off. But reparations can be paid back in multiple ways. It can be paid back through education. It can be paid back through land ownership. Yeah. It can be like,
but we see examples of those with the Indian reservation. So we know what reparations
They know exactly what reparations are. But they act like they don't know.
So even when you talk about in Native American reparations, when you talk about it, the beautiful part about one beautiful piece of their reparations is that I'm sure a lot of you guys have been to some of these casinos where these guys own these casinos because they're on their native land and they're able to run that and not have to pay taxes on them. So when you start talking about the economic systems that they're able to provide for their communities out of these different businesses, that is just chef's kiss in itself when you think about it. And so, like, I think as Black people, we do ourselves a disservice whenever we only sit back and say, well, reparations like is the form in which California is doing, where California is voting on a policy in which they can't even bankroll from a standpoint. So it's you're almost writing empty checks for people. So I think when you talk about reparations, you first have to talk about what is reparations.
So what does that look like? What is that? What is reparations for African Americans? We're not even going to put Africans in that, but
no
like
taxes,
Black
free
Americans.
education, cash payments, land grants, everything all the white immigrants got. We need that. We built this. We need that. And me as a veteran, I really need that.
Period. Let's go.
Uncle Sam, make it rain.
So let me start off by pushing back. I feel like he made a point about, you know, when the slave trade came, like the best Africans came, which is not true. The majority of slaves, when they came in, they were war criminals. Where when if you watch it's a Netflix movie called The Woman King. That tribe, which is an African tribe, became rich because they were trading slaves to Portugal, which was the biggest slave traders at that time, and they became rich by trading slaves. So most of the slaves that were coming in here were being basically war criminals when they were getting caught and they were being sent here. So there is a big part. Let me finish. There's a big part in slaves where African was part of that slavery, and they became enriched by that slaves coming here.
So we
can push that
reparations?
Negative. It's not going to happen. So what I'm going to say though. So when I go back about the reparations, why is because when you talk about the Indian tribal lands. The reason why they was able to do that because they did that at an early part when it happened. So when slavery ended, there was reparation at that point where I believe it was 18 acres and a mule.
That didn't happen.
40 acres and a mule, but it did not happen. Why? Because at that point there was a big fight that was going on in the South about not giving African Americans at that point that 40 acres and a mule.
But the slave owners got the reparations.
Yes, because and so this is what I'm saying. So now 100 years pass or 200 or 150, 200 years pass. It's hard to go back and say, okay, well, we want that 40 acres and a mule because at the same time, the Indians, if you want to become a Cherokee or a Blackfoot, you have to actually put a DNA analysis where you have to actually give where you came from, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the CEOs on those casinos are 95% white. All they have is 5% Native American blood.
Yeah, they call
and they're being given those loans to open up those casinos. And you can say, oh, it's a Choctaw casino, but it's not a Choctaw casino. Most of those people there on the boards are white.
Can I just say one thing? Because when we talk about the Native Americans and they are impoverished and they have the highest rate of like alcoholism and drug use and stuff. So though like it's systemized to oppress them, even though they did get that land, it's like you said,
Native Americans still go through police brutality. They get to go through most of the stuff.
Can I make a point?
They do go through police brutality.
Can I make a point?
They go through the most.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Willie.
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
The reason I agree with Zach is not in that way. And I agree with you at the same time. It's not that they brought the best out of the humans out of Africa. Is for you to survive that slave ship ride all the way. You know how many slaves died?
Yeah.
You have to be the strongest of the strongest to make it to the end. Mm-hmm. Most of them died and got thrown off the ship,
or they just jumped off.
So like that. So the African Americans that made it here were the strongest of the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were.
Have you seen Senegalese? There's a bunch. There's 30.
No. I'm saying
LeBron James in Senegal.
I'm saying that's why I was bringing up.
James.
That's why I was thinking. I was bringing up LeBron James and Serena. It's not like any discriminative stuff. I'm saying it's like the African Americans that made the ship ride. The Africans that did make the ship ride all the way, because most of them died and got thrown off the ship.
I get what he's saying.
I understand what he's saying.
They were genetically the strongest.
And spiritually the strongest too.
You got to think about it. Like in Virginia, they used to have breeding farms. They'd get the strongest black male slave and the strongest black female,
what you speaking about
and
now
they
is
produce.
eugenics. and that's
they
a
did
debunked
practice
science.
eugenics.
But it's a debunked science. That's not
because
you're saying eugenics.
He's not saying that they practice that, but he's just saying that the fact that
it's
they
about
survived
living
the
in America.
slave,
In America
is a lot.
As a country where you can have 3 meals.
If that's
a
the case,
day,
South Sudan
you become bigger than somebody who can have 1 meal a day. But when I joined the Navy, I was not eating as much. I joined at 150. When I started eating 3 meals a day, I became 200. It's all about where you at the position where you were.
We know the Department of Navy got more money than
Zach, what were you trying to say?
That's true as well.
Calvin was in the military.
The Navy is the best brand.
Yeah, right. Let them know.
I love y'all.
He said we were sleeping outside. We got the Army and the Navy.
I love y'all. Deep. I love y'all. Deep. Zach, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I just want to make one more point to Tark's point about you mentioned like how a lot of these African nations got rich off of the slave trade, right? And so, but I look at you when you look at that from the long-term perspective, who did that benefit? It didn't benefit those African nations.
It did not at all.
Long term. So everything that happened was for short-term gains.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you got gold, riches, wealth, and things of that from a short-term capacity. However, you lost one of your biggest commodity, which was your people from the long term. Whether we could, because I mean, you are right with the slave trade. A lot of the people that did come over were war criminals and things of that sort.
I think I put the wrong word. It's not war criminals, but just war prisoners.
Prisoners.
But you are right about it. It's happening. It's happening the same right now. Most of the dictators, the man who even pointed out, like, most of the dictators now are doing the same thing that those people were doing. They're trading their people for wealth.
Yeah, that's been going on since the beginning of time, though.
Slavery is one of the oldest.
Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead and finish.
It's still going on right now.
We on the same page, but what happens is that over time, what happened, they started trading war prisoners, and then these European and Spanish nations kept coming back and asking for more.
And
the middle
let's not forget about that.
You guys like
didn't have war prisoners.
But there were like you guys like there was women and children. Well, those women and children prisoners of war too.
Yes.
Like it's
but not all of them.
But it's
not
like
all of them. And you were right because the Europeans came with like, okay, let's move the middleman out of the way. We can just go straight.
So
it's tribes are fighting against each other.
Yes.
And then when the Europeans show up, it's like, do you have slaves for us or not?
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise, because there's the consequences if you don't have slaves for them.
No, because in warfare, is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So all you got to do is, if two people are fighting, all you got to do is make sure to be aligned with the people who are winning.
And they create conflict. They will create the fight. All of
the borders in Africa are made by Europeans.
By the Portuguese.
So when people say, "Oh, I'm from South Sudan, I'm from Sudan, I'm from Ethiopia," 9 times out of 10, their tribes are in Western Equatoria. They're in Uganda. They're in Kenya. They got families everywhere.
Because we didn't have borders.
It's just the borders,
European
the man-made borders. They're just there.
All right. Okay, guys. So we're gonna take a quick break.